Hey, how's it going, everybody? In this video, we'll be going over some simple terminal commands to get you more comfortable within the command line. In a previous video, we learned how to navigate the file system without altering the file system in any way. But in this walkthrough, we'll actually be creating files and directories, we'll be deleting files and directories, and we'll also learn how to copy, rename, and move files and directories. So I'll have my Finder window opened on this side of the screen so we can visually get an idea of what's going on. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, over here in the terminal, if I run pwd, which stands for Print Working Directory, we can see that I'm currently within my user folder, projects, demos, terminal, and basics. Now this is also the folder that I'm in over here within Finder so that we can see what's going on. Now let's go ahead and create a directory within this folder called testdir. And the way that we're going to do that is mkdir, make dir, and we'll call this testdir. Now you can see when I ran that this folder popped up over here within Finder, but within the terminal we can run ls. And when we run ls, we can see that the directory is also showing up within terminal. So now let's go ahead and navigate to that directory. And to do that, we do cd testdir and navigate into there, and within Finder we'll just click into it. So now let's create a file within this directory called test file. So I'm going to do a touch to create this file, and that'll be test_file.txt. And if I run that command, you can see over here in the Finder window that test file was created. Now I'm going to go ahead and open this file and add some text so that we have some unique file contents to work with. And we can do this within the terminal with open testfile.txt, and that'll use the default program on your machine to open up this file. And the contents that I'm going to add here are I'm just going to call it test file txt, the same name as the file, slightly different. So now let's go ahead and close that down. So now let's learn how we can make a copy of this file within terminal. To do this, we use the cp command. So I'm going to do cp, and then to autocomplete like that, I'm just hitting tab after I type a little bit. So I'm going to do cp test_file.txt, and this new file I'm just going to call copyfile.txt. So now if I hit enter there, you can see within our Finder window that it created this copyfile.txt. And if I open this up, you can see that it does have the same file contents that we put in the first file, so it is a copy. So now let's look at how we can rename a file. Now renaming a file might seem a little weird because moving a file and renaming a file is actually the same process. So if you want to rename a file, then you use the mv command, which is the move command. And since we're just going to leave it in the same place, we're going to move the file to the same directory, but give it a different name. So I'm going to rename test_file.txt to original file.txt. So I'm going to do move testfile.txt, and I'm going to call this orig_file.txt. And you can see when I ran that command, we no longer have testfile.txt, we have this orig_file.txt. Now what if we want to move a file without renaming the file? We can do that by specifying a new location and no file name. So to show an example of that, I'm actually going to create a new directory here in this current folder called subdir1. So if we remember, it's make dir subdir1, and you can see that here within Finder. Now I'm going to move this original file.txt to subdir1, but I'm not going to rename the file. So I can do that just by doing a move orig_file.txt, and now I'm going to type in the new location, and I want to put this within subdir1. So if I run that, you can see that the file vanished over here within Finder, and within terminal I'm going to cd into subdir1 and do an ls, and you can see that the file's there. If I navigate there in Finder, you can see that it is there also. So now I'm going to move it and rename it at the same time. So to do this, I can just do a move orig_file.txt, and I'm going to move this up one directory into our testdir folder, which is visible over here in Finder. And now that I've specified the location, I'm going to go ahead and give it its name back to file.txt. So if I run that command, now we can see that this subdir1 is empty and that the original file got moved back to our testdir and renamed at the same time. And if I open this up, you can see that the contents are still the same. Okay, now let's look at how we can delete some files. To delete a file, we can use the rm command. So let's remove this copied file here with rm copy. Oh, and actually I'm in subdir 1, so let me cd back up a directory. So now I'm going to do rm copy file.txt. And you can see over here within testdir that the copy file.txt was deleted. Now be careful when you're running remove files from within the terminal, because deleting a file within the terminal isn't the same as deleting a file on your file system. It doesn't ask you, are you sure? And they don't get sent to your trash can for easy recovery. So when they're gone, they're gone. So be careful when using the remove files within the terminal. Now we've been looking at how we can copy and rename and delete files. Now let's look at how we can do some of these same things to directories. Working with directories can be slightly different than working with files. So let's go ahead and move up a directory here so that we can see our entire testdir directory. So if I do an ls, you can see that we have our testdir here, and I'm going to go ahead and do that over here within Finder also. So now let's try to copy our testdir to a directory called copydir in the same way that we did a file. So I'm going to do a cp testdir, and then I want to name the copy copydir. So let's run that. So the first problem that we run into here is that it says that copydir doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and make a directory called copydir and run that. Now you can see that this directory exists, but it's empty. So now let's try that command again, copy the testdir into copydir. Now you can see that we're getting this message that testdir is a directory not copied. So in order to get around this, we need to use the -r option. Now remember, if you ever need to find out more about the options that are available to you, then you can do that by viewing the man page by typing man and then the command that you want to look at. So if we did man cp, then you can look at all the options that you have available to you there. And you can just hit Q to get out of that. So we're going to be using the -r option. So really quick, let's just take a look at what that means exactly. So you can see here this -r, it says if the source file designates a directory, CP copies the directory and the entire subtree connected at that point. So that's what we want. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I go back to my CP command, I'm going to come back here to the beginning and do a -r. So now if I run this and make this half the size of the screen, so now we didn't get any errors that time. So if we do open this up, you can see that it has all of the same contents that testdir had. So now we successfully copied our entire directory. So now let's try to rename the directory. Remember, when we rename the files, we use the mv command. So let's try to do that to our testdir. So I'm going to do a move testdir, and let's rename this to origdir. So if I run that, then you can see that we didn't get any errors, and that over here within Finder, it did rename this to origdir. So the mv command renamed the directory without needing any additional options. And also, like files, I can move the directory without renaming the directory. So if I wanted to do an mv of origdir, I'm going to move this entire directory within the copydir directory. So if I run that, then we can see that it took it out of this folder here. And if I navigate to copydir, it still has the other contents that testdir used to have, but we also have the original directory here, and it contains all these contents as well. So now lastly, just like we did with files, let's go ahead and move the directory back up to the parent directory and rename it at the same time, and we'll rename it back to testdir. So in order to do this, I'm going to cd into the copydir here, and that's where we are within Finder over here. And I'm going to do a move, and I'm going to move the original directory up one directory to the parent, and then at the same time I'm going to rename it to testdir. So if I run that, you can see that the original directory is no longer within the copy directory, and if I navigate back to the parent folder, then it was renamed to testdir, and you can see that all of the subfolders and files are still there. So one more thing, just like with the files, let's go ahead and try to delete a directory. So if we remember, when we deleted the file, we used the rm command. So let's do an rm, and let's try to delete this copy directory. Oh, and actually I need to navigate up to my parent folder where these two directories are. And now let's do an rm, and let's remove the copy directory. Now you can see here that I got this error, and just like copying a file, it says that mkdir is a directory. So also just like copying, we can add the -r option and it will remove the directory. So I'm going to do an rm-r on mkdir. So now if I run that within Finder over here, you can see that the copy directory was deleted. So one last quick note here. Sometimes you might run into some files that give you issues when you try to delete them. If you want, you can force a deletion of the directory by using the -f option. Now again, you do want to be careful with this. Now to do this, you do rm and then -r because we are deleting a directory, and we're going to do this -f to force the deletion. And then I'm just going to delete the testdir that we have here, and if I run that, you can see that it deleted the directory. So once again, be careful with that command because it's very powerful and it will permanently delete your files. The only way to recover them would be from some kind of backup, and that's not something that anyone likely wants to do. And also, just a reminder, there's a ton of other options that you can use with these commands, so be sure to check out the man pages if you ever get stuck, and just kind of play around with all the cool things that you can do. But hopefully you guys found this overview of these commands useful. Keep practicing with these commands. It's really one of those things that you wonder how you lived without it once you begin using these on a regular basis. But if you all do have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and thank you all for watching.